Hey there guys, it's Anthony here from Cutting Edge Guitar, and in today's video I am going to be telling you what is fusion guitar. Let's get right into it. Okay guys, so first things first, where has this question come from? Well, it's come from one of my members at Cutting Edge Guitar. If you want to get involved in asking me questions that I will answer directly for you through the YouTube channel and you want to support my content here, consider becoming a member at Cutting Edge Guitar. There's a link in the description. Also, I have advanced guitar courses, books, downloadable lessons, backing tracks, all sorts of stuff that you can download from Cutting Edge Guitar, so check that out. And let's get right into the crux of the question of today. What is fusion guitar? And I suppose, why have I been asked this? Well, on my channel so far, I've talked a lot about fusion guitar. I've talked a lot about fusion guitar players. I've talked about the actual instruments that you would use for such a genre. For example, this beautiful Ibanez S series that I'm playing here is kind of widely respected as being a fusion style guitar. The reason for that is because once upon a time, a certain Mr. Frank Gambale had a signature model in an Ibanez S series, and he is like a fusion guitar god. So what is it? Well, any kind of fusion is when you take two different things and literally put them together, fuse them together. So when we're talking about fusion guitar, it's kind of like making a couple of different guitar styles collide. Generally speaking, when most people are thinking about fusion, they're thinking about rock and jazz coming together. And that's one of the things that Frank Gambale did all those years ago when he still plays that style, but he sort of paved the way almost in the early 80s for that guitar style. So what you've got with fusion guitar is a player who's playing over changes that would be very akin to the jazz style. They're not necessarily like jazz standards. It doesn't have to be 2-5-1s and stuff, but unrelated chord changes. In rock music, we generally will have chords that belong to one diatonic key, and that means it belongs to a key, okay? So fusion will generally be more difficult chord progressions, things like totally unrelated. You might have a tune that's based on two minor 7 chords in a totally different key, followed by two dominant 7th chords that are unrelated to those minor 7 chords in any way, shape or form, and you just have to navigate your way playing over those changes. That's kind of a very jazzy way of thinking about things. And what fusion guitarists will generally do is they will play with that kind of vocabulary, or they'll play over the changes, but they'll do it with their rock style tone on the guitar. But also as well, it's not just about the sound in terms of the tone with having distortion on and that stuff. It's also a vocabulary thing. So another very prominent fusion guitar player who's absolutely awesome would be a guy called Greg Howe. If you haven't heard Greg, you need to check his playing out. He's a phenomenal musician. When you listen to him play, he'll play over jazz changes, but he's not playing bebop licks as such. He's playing, well, whatever he wants to play. He's got that level of ability. He can just do his own thing. But he's got it's got rock ferocity. There is an element of beboppy style stuff in there. You know, he can easily play a 2-5-1 lick and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's usually a combination of those things. As we've gone on further, fusion guitar is now starting to encompass all sorts of stuff. So a player like, in the background you can see up on my wall there, I've got a picture of Guthrie Govan, who's possibly the guitar player that I think is the best guitarist on planet Earth right now. He is a player who uses every single style going. He's a competent jazz player, he's a competent country player, he's a competent blues player, he's a competent rock player, he's got all the chops of every shredder on the planet. He's just able to do everything. But that makes him an incredibly employable session musician. But when he does his own thing, when he's playing with the Aristocrats, or when he's playing like his own material from his album Erotic Cakes that you absolutely need to check out, he just plays how he plays. He plays how Guthrie plays, which is using elements of that blues stuff and being very vocal and musical in one go. Then he's hyper technical and playing all of the best shred licks. Then he'll do some country stuff, and it sort of all molds into one. And I think for me, that's what I'm thinking about these days as a fusion guy. I mean, you can be a metal player and use chicken picking, for example. That's something that John Five does. John Five uses lots of things. So he's not someone I would class as a fusion player. He's a metal player. But also I think in the modern world of guitar that we're living in now, we're becoming less pigeonholed into, oh, he's a blues guy or she's a rocker, or all of this stuff. It's kind of like you want to develop your own individual style, and I think that's one of the things that's always spoken to me about fusion is I can go, I like blues and I like some of the things that I hear in blues. I listen to blues radio all the time when I'm at home. But when I pick up my guitar, I don't necessarily want to put on a blues backing track and play that way. I like the fireworks and the power of rock guitar. That's my thing. But every now and then I will want to play tasty bends like a blues guy. Then I'll want to play jazz things, So another thing that's cool about fusion and the way that I've wanted to do it, about nicking concepts from other genres to embolden what I do with my rock playing. You might be playing on a rock vamp, a static A minor sort of rock vamp, but you might want to play some licks that don't sound particularly rock. So standard vocabulary for the rock guitar player is going to be minor pentatonic, and then a bit of modal playing, Dorian. If you want to get a sound that's a little bit outside, you can imply that there is a 5/1 resolution going on. So you can imply that that's happening to take you back to your minor chord, okay? And a wicked scale that allows you to do that would be the half-whole diminished scale. So if I was to be playing E half-whole diminished, you can use one of 4 root notes for that. So you could use E, you could use G, you could use B flat, or you could use D flat. They're all the root notes that you could use for that scale. So if I was around this territory playing in my A Dorian, the easy way for me to get into the E half whole scale to imply that there's an E altered would be to use a position actually around the G. Because it's in the same sort of fretboard territory, or that moves up in minor thirds, so maybe around the B flat, that sort of thing. But what I would do is I'd come up with a lick that would go something like this. So I've gone in and out of that A Dorian thing into the E half whole diminished, so you get these really outside sounds and all that stuff. That is, I mean, I'm thinking on the fly here, but that's one of the ways that you can get really cool sounds that don't generally belong in rock guitar. You're not going to hear people like Slash from Guns N' Roses doing that. That's more like virtuoso rock fusion element guys, the Gambalis or the Guthrie Governs. They're all going to be playing that sort of thing. But in a nutshell, that is what fusion guitar is. So I hope that answers the question for you guys. If you want to ask me anything more like that, please do check out the members area at Cutting Edge Guitar, and hit the like button and share this to any of your guitar playing friends, and I will look forward to seeing you in another video.